Hey, welcome back to Hillbilly Adventures. Today we're going to play with something that I had as a kid. Man, I've been looking for one for a long time, and I found one in mint condition. And I got it. The dude didn't know if it run. It was untested. It works. Not only does it work, come with the original battery and the original battery charger, and all of it works. The battery's over 30 years old. Took a charge. And it works. Pretty crazy. But if you've watched some other videos, then you'll know what I'm talking about. I mentioned it at the end of a few videos back that it was on my bucket list. I found one. Yep, sure did. So let's go back to the late 80s when RC was pretty big, and Radio Shack decided to get in the RC game, and they came at it with what they considered to be hobby grade buggies. One was the Red Arrow, and the other one was the Golden Arrow. Now the Golden Arrow had a 540 in it and was much faster. The Red Arrow had a 380, if I'm not mistaken, in it, and it was sort of the, poor man's RC. I really wanted one real bad, and my parents were not very rich at all. They were very poor. But come Christmas time, they always worked extra hard. My dad, he would work 7 days a week and make sure that his boys got at least a little something. And these things back then would probably go on for $70-$80, and that was a lot of money for back then, especially for my old man to come up with. And I'm sure he worked a lot of overtime to make that money. And he got me a Red Arrow, and I think it's still at their old house. My brother lives there now, and I remember exactly where it's at, but it's in the basement behind a wall, and I'm sure it's absolutely ruined by now. But anyway, let's take a look here. This here was the Red Arrow. This was my very first RC, and as you can tell, boy did I score. I got a mint T1. This green antenna mast, that's the only one I had. It didn't come with this. I ordered a white one, which is what it originally would have had. Should be here within a few days, and it will be perfect, just like it was when it came out of the box back in the 80s. Now this thing, I don't remember a lot about it, just as a kid running it, but I don't remember it being this heavy. This thing is heavy. She's a heavy mama. And we'll turn it on for you here. Alright. The servo is in the front is, it doesn't have the old, the real old cheap ones used to have like a magnet steering. This has a servo, but it's awful slow. Look here. That's as fast as the steering is on this thing. And I do remember that the steering being a little on the slow side. And she still rocks and rolls for all these years. Whoever had this one, like I said, I don't think this thing got used much, or if at all. But anyway, the way that you change the battery in this thing, and this thing takes a crap load of AA batteries. In your radio here, let's start with that. You got a box you open here. 6 AA's in this thing. 6. Yeah. That's not all. You got to consider back then, a kid coming up with money for a lot of batteries kind of sucks. So you really tried to use this thing sparingly. Luckily for me, my parents had bought some rechargeable AA's, which were a thing back then. And I used those mostly. The body has a couple of switches inside the cab here that you pull down. Actually, pretty ingenious body mount system. And then the body will come right off. See how that works in there. Nothing too fancy. Okay, and then inside this thing, which I don't know if I can do it with one hand or not, there's more double A's. I ain't gonna take it apart. It's too much of a pain in the butt. But there we go. This lifts to give you access to your battery pack, and it takes, you know, regular old 6-cell standard pack with you have to get it loose, Tamiya style connectors ends, right? And inside the lid is the other 4 batteries for your radio to work. And this thing is kind of funny. There we go. You gotta catch it just so. See? There's your other batteries. Alright. Single shock for the suspension in the rear end. And it's awful stiff. Really not much suspension to speak of. You got your resistors up here inside this cage. So, you know, for it to dispense heat from the electronics. The shocks in the front here, but like I said, they're kind of nothing more but springs, and they're very stiff. But this thing it's a heavy buggy. It is a really heavy buggy. Now I took it outside and I ran it. And I had a ball with it. I'm actually shooting this on Easter, and it was a treat to drive this thing again, especially on such a special day. But I'll tell you what, let me show you the fun I had outside. When I was a kid, my parents didn't have a lot of money, so they bought me a Radio Shack Red Arrow as my first RC. And now I've got another one. Let's see if it's as fast as I remember, which I'm sure when I was a kid I thought it was a lightning bolt. It was so fast. So bouncy. Whoop. The Red Arrow. And that's what you had to drive it with. No pistol grip, big long antenna, and dual controls. Oh man, just like an airplane or something. There's your steering. Yeah, that's pretty fun. So, what did you think of that? The old Red Arrow out there tearing it up again. It's like it's 1989, I think it was, all over again. Anyway, hey, what was your first RC? Were you lucky enough to actually get a hobby grade, say Tamiya or Losi, or something of that nature, Kyosho, one of those cool brands, or was you like me and you got the Radio Shack entry level into the hobby? It doesn't matter what you had as long as you had a good time with it. And if you do have one like I just got, your original back, what did you do with it? Did you decide to put it up on the wall to admire from time to time, or do you get out and actually run the thing? Tell you what, put what you've done with yours or what you used to have down in the description below. I'd love to hear what everybody's first RC was. Till next time, guys, thanks for viewing. Remember to like and subscribe, and catch you next time.